Hey everybody, thank you for watching today. It is week blah blah blah. I feel like it's the TV show The Goldbergs where you never really know what day we're in during this quarantine, but we are in the yellow phase, which is great. I love to talk to local businesses. I love learning from people. And today I am super psyched to introduce everybody to a top-notch real estate investor. And he's going to help everybody that may have questions about it. Maybe you were thinking about starting this, but you don't know how to do it. So today with me is Drew Farnese. Drew, how you doing?
I am awesome, Stacie. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for joining me. I met Drew a couple months ago at Malvern Buttery, and I didn't know what to expect. So what I wanted to learn was, hey, how did you start your business? You seem so young, and it was one of the best conversations I've ever had. Drew why don't you tell everybody about how you started in the business, and then we'll dive deep and start talking about what you look for in properties.
Sure, absolutely. So again, thanks so much for the intro. And yeah, that was a great meeting, one of my top meetings as well. So yeah, I mean, I started investing in real estate coming up on 7 years ago now. This January will be like 7 years. And I started buying fix and flips with my dad when I was, I guess, 23 years old. Bought our first flip, and really the intention going into the real estate world, it was really just to buy rental properties. We never really intended to flip houses in any capacity. And, I spent probably 2 or 3 years prior to buying the first deal, just educating myself, going to local real estate investor groups, joined my local RIA, networked with people for years before I actually kind of pulled the trigger on the first deal. So throughout that educational process time, I was analyzing and looking at deals all the time. And the first thing that I came across it was a really good deal. It didn't make much sense as a rental, but it made a lot of sense as a flip. So bought it, flipped it, and I guess kind of a little bit of beginner's luck and maybe a small bit of skill on that first one, but we made a lot of money. And so from there, we're like, okay, maybe we'll revise the business model a little bit. We'll flip houses and we'll buy rentals. So continued on, kept buying flips, kept buying some rentals, and started building a team. My dad was a contractor, like I said, so I handled the real estate aspect of the business and he handled the construction aspect. Started growing, he started hiring more guys to work under him and everything. And, just kind of kept on that pattern of slow and steady growth for the first couple of years. And about 3 years ago now, my father passed away. So at that point, I had to figure out how to, thank you. I had to figure out how to continue on the business, So I had been around construction my whole life, but I was never professionally employed in any trades in any capacity, So the first 2 or 3 projects that I did after my dad died, it was like, that was really like my own kind of test for myself. Like, can I do this? Can I operate on the other end of the business, So after I got over that hurdle, it was like, kind of full steam ahead, keep going, keep growing the business. And that brought us to probably about 2 years ago. And I was on track, I brought in another partner on the fix and flip business, and we were on track. Like, our goal was to do 30 flips last year. And in Q1, it's like we were on track for it. We had like 12 active flips going on at the same time. And actually, sorry, the timeline is all screwed up here. Back up. Before we got to the point where we had 12 flips going on at the same time, the biggest issue became that there weren't enough good deals for us to buy. So I had always been in
Right.
the fix and flip and the landlord space. I was never in the wholesale or marketing or acquisition space, so to speak. But had to really take a deep look at it because there just wasn't enough stuff to buy. So
let me stop you here real quick. How do you find out about these homes?
So now that I am in the acquisition space entirely, and I started Revamp 365 about 2 years ago to be able to find all of these deals. Like I said, essentially, as it started, it was just so I could feed the machine that I had created and we could buy enough deals. But so to your question, how do we find them? Very simply, loads of marketing. We do all different types of marketing. You know, we do direct mail, we do cold calling, we do web leads, we purchase leads from other lead providers and pay a lot of money for them. Pretty much anything that you can imagine for reaching out and marketing to a prospective seller, we do it.
And do you ever go to sheriff sales?
I've gone to, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the past, but I've never bought anything at one. In my experience and the ones that I had went to, there's just so much damn competition when you go there. So ultimately, our goal as like an acquisitions professional, we try to get these things before they're at sheriff sale. We're not competing with, 30 other people in the room bidding on it. We're getting in touch with this person before it's even there,
Right.
That being
So
said,
let's
I
take
do
a
know a
look at
bunch of
these
people that
before
buy
and
at
afters.
sheriff sales and make a lot of money. So it can certainly be done.
So why don't you tell us about these fix and flips, these before and afters? Are there any stories behind them or any favorite projects that we're going to look at right here?
That one right there that just passed 709 Summit was actually the first flip that we ever did over in Prospect Park. So yeah, that was a cool job. It was fun. It was great. And like I said, it was kind of a fluke, I think, how much money we made on that, considering the purchase price and the out sale. It was kind of disproportionate, but we made a lot of money and it worked well. So not all of them are that great, Yeah, this one right here was over in Morton that we did a full second story addition on. So that was one of the larger projects that I had done. That was like a $150,000 rehab on that property.
Wow. And when do you decide, like, have you ever done a house where you thought you were going to flip it, or when you thought you were going to rent it out and then you change your mind halfway through? Has that ever happened?
No, I've never flip-flopped on what my goal or intention is with the property, short, mid, long term, or anything like that. However, I will say I am my worst enemy on staying true to my budgets, because usually like I'll walk through a place, I'll set, here's what we're going to do. Like that picture right there, perfect example, it wasn't in the original budget to put that deck on the back of it, and you may be able to see, that window right above the Bilko door on the back. We ended up putting a slider on there, and it's like none of that stuff was originally budgeted. But once we got in there and started doing what we had to do, I look for ways that we can add value without disproportionately adding cost, so it's a good return, right? And sometimes it's really hard to project those things initially before you start the project.
Right. And how did the deck work out? I bet you the deck and the sliders worked out really well.
Yeah, that property sold over asking price in like the first 2 or 3 days. So little things like that. It's tough though. Sometimes with certain things that you'll do in flipping houses specifically, it's like you can't really calculate the monetary return that you're going to get from a certain thing, but like things like a deck or whatever it is, it's kind of, it adds a little bit of unique flair to the property. It's like, okay, maybe I can't sell it for more because of that. However, if I sell it in 2 days as opposed to 2 months, there is a monetary gain from it, but is it calculable?
Right.
Not really, you know? So you kind of have to have a little bit of
So when
foresight.
you get into the,
What's that?
right. So when you get into these houses, you know how you watch HGTV and the people make it a lot more dramatic than it is. And they're like, "Ah, I didn't have this in my budget. What are we going to do? Oh, this is the worst. We're going to lose our hat, like whatever." And you know that that's not true. But do you ever get into a house and you're like, damn, you know, like the pipes are gone or pipes are busted or you have termites or anything like that?
So for sure, it happens all the time. Usually we're pretty conservative on our rehab budgets. And again, especially knowing me, and like I just explained to you, I'm notorious for going over budget on my own projects. We kind of bake in a lot of overages and things like that. So usually we're safe. However, you know, it is still a risk. I can tell you the story of my biggest loss to date. Property in Philly, and you know, you usually have a couple of commonalities on properties in the city. You know, you usually have a masonry wall on either side. You may have to take down the front wall, back wall, but you know, you have masonry on either side because it's a row home. We bought this property in Pennsport, and we knew that it had to be completely gutted. We knew that we were going to have to reframe the whole thing, whatever. After we got it demoed, we realized it wasn't masonry walls on either side. It was stick framed, and the whole thing was failing. So we basically had to piece by piece take this entire building down while not messing up the neighbor's property on either side. And then we had to pour a new foundation inside of the existing foundation. It was a nightmare. It was a mess. And we ended up selling this thing before we even built it. We basically ripped it down and just sold a vacant lot once we were done. And that was a huge loss.
Well,
Huge loss.
I like that. But you know what? It was a learning point.
For
And,
sure.
and I like that everything isn't rainbows and unicorns. Like people watch these shows and they think they're going to get rich quick. It's so easy. And everybody always posts, even on Facebook and Instagram, how perfect their lives are or how great everything is. And I like that you shared that, like, that was my failure, because I feel like in life, we learn more from that than we do from our greatest success stories.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I try to be, it's tough because I try to be as transparent as I can with whatever is going on in my life or my business, especially when I think there's some sort of silver lining that could help someone in their business or in their starting of their investment portfolio or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, there's such a negative vibe around that when you post things on social, right? Like you said, everybody only wants to share the things that are butterflies and rainbows, but that's not reality, you know?
Right. So let's get back to, how many rental properties do you have, Drew?
So right now I have 13 doors. A lot of the properties that I own are multifamilies. I just picked up a 4-unit property over in Wallingford. So that was 4 added to the portfolio in one shot. So yeah, trying to actively continue building that all the time.
So do you do your own property management?
I do. Well, I shouldn't say that I do. I got to give my wife credit because she does. Hey, there she is. Perfect. My wife is awesome.
She is.
You know, that's the project that we just bought in Wallingford, and she was over there with me cutting down a wall. So she handles all the property management and getting tenants in place and everything like that. She's awesome.
Wow. And now, so when you do these investment properties, what are your goals quarterly? Like how many to buy and flip? And what certain areas are you targeting, if any?
So areas that we're targeting, I grew up, born and raised in Delaware County, so I'll probably always invest in Delaware County. Now I live in Westchester, so we do buy and flip in Westchester, or I'm sorry, Chester County as well, I should say. And recently I brought on a partner and we're doing things in New Jersey as well. So we're selling wholesale investment deals as well as flipping over in New Jersey. So Delaware County, Chester County, Philadelphia, a couple counties in Jersey, branching out a little bit. And as to
now, if someone wants to get
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, as to like the number of properties that I intend to purchase or goals, anything like that. Like I said, last year I wanted to flip 30 properties, so I didn't really buy a whole lot of rentals. It was like all focus was I just want to flip 30 properties and kind of go from there. Since then, I've kind of restructured things a little bit. I had a construction company. I kind of dissolved that. And obviously I'm still doing fix and flip, but it's not really my goal to do 30 a year anymore. Realistically, I'll probably flip under 10 houses a year and buy more rentals instead.
Okay.
So kind of just shaking everything out right now and, getting some new things set up. Like I said, with the wholesale business growing like it is, that's taken a lot of my focus for the past like 12 to 18 months. And I love it. I really love it. It's kind of a great thing to be able to help other people that either want to buy their first fix and flip or rental, or people that want to buy their 30th this year, and being able to provide those deals to them from the eyes of a person that's been in this business, in this industry for years,
Right. And then let me ask you this. What would you recommend someone that wants to get started, like myself or anybody? Like what are the best tips that you can give to people?
So the best tips are first, kind of just know, understand, and accept what your goals are realistically. Like set realistic goals. After you have a goal, talk to someone like me. Anybody can reach out to me at any time. And then we can talk about expectations and how to set that into place. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, and I was one of them only a year ago, I set this goal, I want to flip 30 houses. But what does that really mean? That's not really,
right.
It's a measurable goal, but does it matter? If I'm flipping 30 houses that are all making $1,000 a piece, that's not the goal. That's not what I really want. So you have to be crystal clear about your goals so you can make it happen. It's like a more defined goal is I want to flip 30 houses. I want them to be in this county. I want them to be this purchase price. I want to spend this much on rehab. I want to sell them for this much, and I want to profit this much. That's a goal, And when you talk to somebody that's able to feed deals to you, then you can kind of reverse engineer everything and figure out how you can get those deals and what it'll look like.
All right, cool. And then for financing, like let's say people don't have a lot in savings. How should they start? Should they take a home loan in order to do their first fix and flip or their first rental? Like what do you recommend?
So everything is totally situational. And that's one of the things that I love about real estate in general. It's like every deal, every person that you talk to has a unique, not only financial situation, but everybody has unique skills, right? And unique different types of assets that they already own that they may be able to leverage. Or I love the idea of pulling a home equity line of credit or something like that to buy your first investment deal. You're leveraging something that, it's great. That's the way that I started, honestly. I got a home equity line of credit on my first house and bought our first fix and flip doing that. But everybody's situation is different and unique. And, the advice that I would give you isn't necessarily the advice that I'd give to the next person. You know what I mean? And again, I am by no means a financial consultant or anything like that. All I can do is give my 2 cents based on my past experiences and all the business that I've done over the years, you know?
Yeah, and I have to ask you this because we talked about this at Malvern Buttery, but I didn't really ask enough. I think you said that do you have a life coach, or do you go to someone that helps you with your business?
Yeah, so I've always been a proponent of coaching, mastermind groups, things like that. And I stay active all the time. You know, I've been in mastermind groups that I've paid more to be in for a year than I used to make in a year. And I think
Wow.
that's a really important key piece to growth, no matter what your goals are, is finding a group of like-minded people that are on a similar
Yes.
course, similar trajectory, and being able to share ideas and share your visions and share your challenges, you know? Very strong proponent of
No,
it.
I agree. What book are you reading now, or what's one of your favorite books that you read this year?
One of my favorite books this year. It's a great question. Can't think of what my favorite book this year is, but I can tell you one of my favorite of all time is Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. It's a great one. I've probably read that
Awesome.
10 times. Very good read.
Yeah, and you bring up good points. So some people get caught up in the number of books that they read every year. How about you just do 2 or 3 and you read them over and over and over again, as opposed to not retaining what you read and moving on to another book?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great point, you know, and I think there's certain books that are like that you can certainly reread over and over and over again, and kind of pick up something new from them every time you reread it, you know? So
Yep.
how about you? What's your favorite?
All right, now let's move on to your
Sorry, I turned the table on. What's your favorite?
Initially, I liked the idea of Simon Sinek's "What's Your Why?" and I quickly turned and not got it. I like it, but I don't like it, because if you don't know your why, or like Drew, if you don't know what drives you, or Stacie, what drives me, if you don't know your why, like you cannot, I don't see you being successful in anything. I take that for granted. It's not, I don't need to read I like it, and I love Simon Sinek, but I can't stand when people will say, "What's your why?" And it's like, if you don't know what your why is, like, step aside.
Yep.
So it's, I don't mean to go off like that, but I like that book, but I don't. I learned what I could.
I totally understand.
Let's talk about your family and your
Sure.
wife, and I think we have some great pictures.
Yeah, so my wife Cynthia, yeah, somewhere, right? My
Yeah,
wife
where's the picture?
Cynthia, you know, she's been like my partner in crime for, I mean, we've been married a couple years now. We've been together for 11 years. And 2 beautiful girls, Mia, 8 years old, and McKenna, 2 years old.
So cute.
And this is just the other weekend in Wildwood. My wife has been, you know, my probably 99% of the reason that I've had any sort of success in my life. She's like my rock, you know.
Oh,
She really is. I know it sounds corny, but you know, it's like any times that I'm going through a struggle in business or personally or whatever the hell it is, you know, she's the one that kind of wakes me up, kicks me in the ass, and she's like, "Are you serious? Like, you've dealt with things way worse than this, way harder than this, and you've made it through. Like, you need to jump back on the horse and go," you know?
that is awesome.
Yeah, it's so important, you know, having a spouse that
I love it.
supports you. You know, I'm so grateful.
That's awesome. And I just want to thank you for joining me. I definitely want to talk to you again, more pointed questions, but I just thank you for sharing. Not everybody wants to tell their secrets or say how they started in business or what their failures are. And you have done that very graciously. So I appreciate it. And if anyone wants to reach out to Drew, he's very transparent. He answers my text within seconds. And this is his company. It is Revamp 365. You can get on his mailing list, and he'll email you when homes become available that you can purchase if you're looking to start really your financial portfolio.
Yep, absolutely. And Stacie, thank you so much for having me on and talking to
And
me. What's that?
Yeah, would you like to add anything else? Sorry, I don't have a good connection.
Nah, it's totally fine. Yeah, again, thanks so much for having me on. And if anybody wants to reach out and talk about, goals or what you have going on right now in real estate, or how you want to get started, how you want to do your first fix and flip, buy your first rental, you're looking for contractors, you're looking for lenders, you're looking for partners, whatever it is, reach out to me. We have a huge network. We can connect you with a lot of the people that we already know, and hopefully set you on a path for success.
That is awesome. And I will be talking to you next week. Thank you so much, Drew. And thank you
Awesome.
all for watching.
Thanks
Have
so
a great
much,
day.
Stacie. You too.